Looking for the perfect summer night in Hendersonville? Then make plans for Rhythm and Brews, downtown Hendersonville's free concert series. On the third Thursday of each month from June through October, South Main Street comes alive with live music, local craft beer, cider and wine, food trucks, and family-friendly fun. Bring your lawn chair, grab some friends, and enjoy an unforgettable evening in the heart of downtown. Rhythm and Brews, where great music and great community come together. Livengood. Did I pronounce that?
You did.
Livengood.
Livengood.
That's a great name.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My grandmother.
Is it real? Is it a real name? It's not an alias or something?
It is real. No.
Okay.
My grandmother would say it was Livengood, but I like Livengood. It just sounds better.
Do you live good?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think most of the time. I don't know if anybody can ever live good all the time, but I'm pretty. My wife does not like this sometimes, but I'm pretty much an optimist almost all the time. So,
interesting.
So usually I'm living pretty good. Yeah.
I'm learning how to become an optimist. I was a pessimist for much of my life, but slowly trying to become an optimist.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going the other way. Sometimes I think I might be turning into a pessimist.
Yeah. You know, it's hard not to be jaded in today's
Very true.
society. There's a lot of things that can get you, can sour you, turn you off, but yeah.
That's a good point. You know, I've noticed that the old, you know, I feel like when I was younger, and maybe a lot of people, you know, it's like you can't, you know, nothing can hurt me, that kind of thing. Right? I can't die. I'm invincible. As I've gotten older, obviously, you know, well, as I was younger, I knew I could die, but never really believed it. As I've gotten older, you know, and have a son and everything, it seems to be more real. And so my optimism has, I think, gone down a little bit just because some of the hits have bigger dings. Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm living good, man.
That's great. You're living up to your name.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you work for WLOS in Asheville. That's the ABC affiliate.
I do.
And what do you do for WLOS?
So I like to call it WLOS News 13, like I'm an anchorman, but I'm not. You know, but so what I do for WLOS is, I mean, it sounds kind of boring, but it's sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it makes what makes the world go round.
I was just about to say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not, you know, but I'm not on TV and I'm not breaking news or anything like that. But one of the things that attracted me to it, I'd moved here. I've been working in my basement for 5 years, you know, remote. And one of the things that attracted me to it was the deep ties it had to the community. It's the only news station in Western North Carolina, even though it covers parts of upstate South Carolina. Yeah. But it's the organization that people trust. They get their weather there. You know, they get their news. They you know, the Helene obviously really impacted everybody, and that's where people were turning to. And you know, I've read about all the people that worked up there were staying up at the station, making, you know, sleeping there, eating there, making sure that they could do what they could do for the community as far as, you know, breaking news, report news, and shining lights on things. So it was when I started looking into it, I thought it was a very interesting news organization because it is owned by a parent company, but I think it's uniquely Asheville, and I think that was important to me.
Yeah,
it was very important to me.
It is the 800-pound gorilla in the television media realm for Western North Carolina, in the area, for sure.
Yeah.
What does LOS stand for?
That's a good question. I'll tell you what LOS stands for. I don't know what the W stands for, but we've all kind of made something up.
Yeah.
So, well, actually, let me back up. So apparently, I want to say TV only, but I think it is TV only. East of the Mississippi had a W in front of it. Yep. And then west, I forgot what it was. But
K.
It was a K,
yep.
Right? So LOS stands for Land of Sky.
Huh.
So we call it Wonderful Land of Sky. We just say the W stands for wonderful.
Okay.
So it's Land of Sky.
It's all making sense now. Yeah. And Land of Sky is also a, what is it? It's like a non-governmental organization that oversees different county governments.
It is.
In Western
It is.
North
Yeah. I was actually just reading about it the other day. They call it I think Land of Sky Regional Council Authority. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of it because it's beautiful here. It is a land of beautiful sky.
Yeah. How did you wind up here?
So I was living in New Orleans, and I met my wife there, and we were having a fantastic time. It was spring, jasmine was in the air, magnolias were blooming, it was the French Quarter, beignets, and it was magic, right? In love kind of thing. And then summer hit, and it was extremely hot summer, and everything seemed to lose its luster. Everything became more pronounced, just kind of like some of the negative things that maybe New Orleans has, like, the parties and the parades, and it was starting to turn kind of sad. And we looked at ourselves and we were like, well, let's get out of here. Let's do the opposite of a swamp. So we did. It was like, okay, mountains, right? We're going to do the opposite of a swamp. And I was looking at like Lake Tahoe area. I'd spent a lot of time out there. Colorado, which I think you're familiar with. I spent a lot of time in Nederland and in Rollinsville. Yeah. So we were looking at all these places.
They have a dead guy festival there in Nederland.
I know. It's like an actual dead guy festival. I know. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Very weird, very unique, right? So we, I think I went to this. It was a Midsummer Night's Rave one time there as well. So it was a play on Shakespeare, obviously, and it was out in the mountains. It was beautiful. They do a lot of cool stuff there. But a friend of hers from high school, she's from Odessa, Texas, by the way. So football, oil,
Permian Basin,
Friday
Night Lights,
exactly. It's probably the smallest town almost everybody's heard of, But so a friend of hers from high school had moved out here, and we were talking to him. I think it was on a phone. No, he came to town. I apologize. He came to town, and he goes, before you go anywhere, just come stay with me for a couple of days. Check out Asheville. He's like, I promise you'll like it. I was like, all right, cool. So we drove out there. We got there, and immediately we hopped in his car, and I remember he was cutting up cantaloupe. He was like, here, I'm going to take some cantaloupe. And we're like, okay, well, where are we going? We immediately go to a waterfall. It's out. There's like rainbow. I mean, it was magical. There's a rainbow over it. There was a dude and a woman doing yoga on on the side of it. It was just an idyllic place. And then he took us to another one, and then another one. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, we're like, well, we got to move here, right? So we went back to New Orleans, got a U-Haul, and came straight out.
Wow, that's all it took. Just some waterfalls and some yoga.
Yep. I've yet to do yoga. No, I've done some yoga since.
And when was this? How long ago was this?
This was 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been here about 5 years.
I actually haven't. I've moved away since then.
Oh, okay.
But 2011, we came here. I worked at an institution. I worked mainly in restaurants at the time, but I worked at a place called Lori's Catering and Cafe. And Lori Masterton was a local figure. I think if you ask around, you'll find that a lot of people remember her. She had a motto that was called "Don't Postpone Joy." And that was her motto. She had it trademarked. And what she liked to do is spread joy through food. She was an amazing woman. She was probably the best person I've ever met. Like just a simple person that exhibited all the qualities I think that I really find moving. And so she beat cancer 3 times. Wow. Every time she beat cancer, she would bike across the U.S. She was a big bicycler. So she was actually, I think, the head of the Live Strong Foundation here in Asheville. She was a big supporter of that because obviously cancer. Yeah. And then the last time she beat cancer, she decided to walk the, I think it's the Camino de Santiago, the pilgrimage. In
Spain.
Yes. Yeah. From the Pyrenees down. And then she came back and she died 4 weeks later. So it was sad. It was sad. But I got the chance to meet her, which changed how I thought, changed how I lived. And so I was doing that. And then my son was born. His name is Grayson. Nice. And it was nice. At the time, we were losing our minds. We hadn't slept for 9 months. We didn't know what we were doing. And it's comical now, but at the time, we were a little lost. Me and my wife, her name is Jessica. And so we thought, okay, let's go back to Texas. Let's get some cousins in the mix. Let's get some aunts and uncles. The grandmother would be there. Maybe we can get some help. And we wanted him to be, with his family. So we did that, but we kept our house here. And in retrospect, it was smart financially, but at the time, I just wanted I didn't want to leave my footprint from here. I wanted to come back. It was a beautiful place. It was magical to me. And it was the first place I felt home since I lived in Austin. Austin is what I would always consider my home until I moved here. And so we kept our house here. And over like the next 10 years, we thought about selling it, when things would happen and we'd have to pay $10,000 for this or, $5,000 for that. But we never did. And when my son turned 11, we were like, I think it's time to go back. I think he's a little bit more independent. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into the fly fishing, the hiking, and all the stuff that we want to do, right? That we can't really in the middle of Texas. Yeah. And that's when I came back 3 weeks before Helene. So
okay. So you came back in 2023, or excuse me, 2024.
2020. Yeah, 2024.
Yeah. And you originally came here in did you say 2011 or 2021?
I think I said 2011.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I said 5 years, thinking you said 2021, but that's 15 years.
I know. I have to think about it.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe we're halfway through July already.
I know.
So you didn't want to close the door on Asheville. And so you're still living there now?
Yeah, we actually moved back. Wow. We had to downsize and we were quite scared of that, but we love it. It's actually really cool. I mean, we're actually going to get another place in about a year or so. Cool. But it's there's like little bits of deja vu. Yeah. There's hardwood floor, so it creaks, right? Well, I was walking out of my son's bedroom one of the first weeks we were back, and I hit a creak, and I remembered trying to sneak out when he was 3 months without waking him and hitting that creak and waking him up and him crying, what I mean? So every little creak has brought back a little memory.
That's awesome.
And it just makes me smile. It's wonderful. So we're really enjoying it, even though we had to like downsize or whatever, but we're really enjoying it. Yeah. We're enjoying it.
How did you get plugged into WLOS?
So something about me, before 2016 even, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had tried to be a writer, funny enough, quite a long time ago when I was in my 20s. I had several poems published in a local mag, won a contest one time, and wanted to be the next Jack Kerouac, but obviously didn't work out, right? But the whole time, people had been telling me that, you've kind of like what you said, you've got a great personality, you're outgoing, you should be in sales. But in my head, I had this used car salesman like archetype. You know what I mean? Yep. The oily, slimy kind of guy who's trying to cheat you, right? Really, and so I always pushed it away. Well, when we got back to Austin, and my son, was 1.5, and I was like, oh my God, I've got to figure this out. This is real now, even though I was late to the bus. Yeah. I had a chance to start working at Apple, and so they have a second headquarters there, holds about 15,000 people, and they gave me a chance to start as a contractor. I did. I got hired with full time within a couple months, and I was immediately on the small to medium business team. And I found out there that a salesman actually helps people. Yeah. And so I got a chance to help out a lot of small businesses who were in trouble or just needed something to power their business. The one that really brought it home was a gentleman who called me, and his office had flooded. There was about 4 or 5 computers that had shorted out. He couldn't run his business without it, and he didn't have a lot of money. And so, I got to work on a loan with him, with one of our partners, and got him some computers within a couple of days, and got him up and running with minimal output from him, initially. And at that moment, I was like, oh man, this is what salesmen do. Yeah. This is what they do. They help. Yeah. Right. And so at that point I was like off and running, right? I was like, okay, I can do that. Not only do I like it, but I can do it. And then at some point I got a opportunity to work on, I don't know if you remember this or not, but at one point, I think it was 2018, Starbucks got in trouble. They closed down all of their locations, and they had a mandatory like racial training kind of event.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I forgot the incident that started it, but it was something that probably blew up online or social media. And so I got to be part of the team, well, the enterprise team, to sell them the 10,000 iPads that they needed. And so at that point, I was like, wait a minute. This is what a salesman does. It's another level, right? This is a whole other level than just, small business. And so I got a chance to do a rotation with the enterprise team. COVID hits eventually, and I start looking for other things to do. And I landed Intuit. I helped start the Intuit MailChimp. Yeah. I was on the MailChimp side of things.
Okay.
But they had just bought MailChimp, and I started their sales. We helped start their sales team. I was like the 14th hire. So I'm on the software side of things. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a great time. And then AI hits the fan, so to speak, and things start changing. And they came to the whole department and they offered us a buyout. And it's pretty much a layoff, but they're it's a buyout. That's it's positioning. It's all about positioning. Yep. And
euphemisms.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they're doing it just to look good. They don't necessarily want to give us any money, I don't think, but it was a choice, and I made a choice to take it. But we had just moved to Asheville. Right. And I was in my basement, and we just had Helene. And so it was just a time of my mother had just died. Right. I had like 3 big whammies in a row, and I didn't really know what to do next, but I was disillusioned with tech, the tech industry, not necessarily technology itself, but, I grew up coming of age, and I graduated high school in 95. Right. So that was when the internet was just getting going, really, like a .com boom. I was in Austin during the .com boom, and everything was booming. And they kind of sold us on this idea of the internet not only changing everything, but changing everything for the better. Yeah. It was going to democratize information. It was going to make it so that everyone could get an education, so that everyone would have, like the same starting point. I think Google was literally photocopying, scanning every document in the world, right? And they were going to put it online for everyone to look at. I think their motto was "Don't be evil" at the time, and then Facebook was doing what we're going to change the world, and we created democracy in the Middle East and all that stuff. It was a great sales line, and then for me, when AI started to happen, and I started to see all my friends get laid off, and then me, pretty much get laid off, I started to become disillusioned with it. It was sad that some of these people that had worked for Google for 20 years, that helped build this place to what it was, would just be kind of flung aside so carelessly. Yes, they got severances, and yes, they weren't necessarily severed without any help, but it was still jarring, and it still affected people hugely. I was depressed for probably 6 months after that. So I became disillusioned with tech, and I was like, I got to do something else. And I got an email one day, and it was a recruiter from Sinclair Inc. or WLOS. And I almost immediately just was like, whatever, it's not, it's not tech. But I took a closer look, and I was like, well, this might actually be something, I called, obviously, right? I started checking out, started doing the research, and, found out what I told you earlier, like, hey, this is actually, deep ties to the community. They do a lot of good. They're trusted, these things like that. And so I went through the process, and that's how I got here. And, cool. and I like it. I really do enjoy it. Yeah. I get to help small businesses again, which in a way is helping someone with their dream. Yeah. Right. I mean, it's not just a Q4, spreadsheet. Right. It's somebody who said, you know what, I want to do this, and because I love it, and because I think I can feed my family with it. So I get to do that again. And so I'm really happy. Awesome. Yeah. In my 57 years on this planet, I've done a number of jobs, one of which was sales and marketing for a magazine for about 3 years.
And when I started in sales, I had that same thought that, used car salesman, you have to be a fast talker. You have to, bada bing, bada boom. But my boss at the time, the publisher of the magazine, told me that's not what a good salesperson is. A good salesperson is someone that talks to the client, but most importantly, listens. And that's sort of my mantra for this podcast, is that listening is much more important than talking. Yeah. So if you're a good listener, if you can listen to the needs of your clients and address those needs, provide solutions for them, that's the...
And you're going to win. Usually you're going to win. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that saying? It's like, you can't learn if you're talking, or you can't learn if you're not listening. Right. And that's hard for me, to be honest. I talk a lot. My wife, I talk a lot. And so in meetings, I just have to be like, shut up, Jason,
welcome to the podcast. So
right on it.
What do you tell people? What is it like working for, first of all, a Sinclair affiliate and, a major regional media outlet? You hear, I'm sure there's a lot of, we're at the lowest point in trust in media these days.
That's true.
But, part of your job is not only, meeting the challenges of your clients, but also probably dismissing some of the myths about television media. What do you deal with in that? Hi, this is Nick Lucy, host of the Kudzu Project podcast. I wanted to thank you for listening and also remind you that the Kudzu Project is brought to you by the Lucy Agency. The Lucy Agency is a full-service marketing firm based here in Hendersonville, North Carolina. We can handle all of your marketing needs, from website design and development to social media management to graphic design, photography, videography, you name it, we can help you do it. So thank you, and let's get right back to the show.
I think that's a really good point. I guess the trust in media has been going down ever since I become aware of it, right? I think with social media and people getting their news that way, I think it has just increased that.
Yeah.
Heck, you could say there's been distrust in media since JFK, and JFK might have started it, right? This the honeymoon's over, or whatever you want to call it. And to that point, Sinclair itself has strong views about things, right? I think it might have been 2 or 3 months in, and there was the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing, that whole thing. Well, that was on ABC, right?
Yeah.
And there were businesses that, and I didn't have any of the clients at the time. I was brand new and I was training, and didn't know what any of the acronyms stood for. But there were some businesses that canceled their contracts with us. Yeah. Because of that, and they had every right to do so, right? That's like, if the Supreme Court can say that money is free speech, well, then they can take their money away, right? Yeah. It's their right, and more power to them for that. But I did see how that this being a new industry, I saw how that affected my colleagues, and how how kind of hurt it made them, and how they couldn't do anything about it, really. Yeah. It was above their pay grade, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But I did a little research the other day, and trust in the media down, like you said, right? The amount of people tuning in to traditional media down, except when it comes to local news. That's the one thing where it's upticking, and it wasn't a lot, but it was like 3.4%, I think. Yeah. And this is national, so not necessarily our region. So, and then the trust in local media holding steady, at least over the past 10 years from what I was able to determine. And obviously, I didn't spend 10 hours researching this. It was probably like 30 minutes to an hour. But what I saw heartened me, because that's what I'm a part of, is the local media, right? Yeah. Because, the people that work at the station are in the community. We all live here. The news anchors, right? The correspondents, they all live here, and they care. Yeah. They care. They love this place, right? Most people do love their homes, unless you live in Odessa and you're my wife. She hated it. But I love this place. And so I think that, because it's local, and because Western North Carolina and even upstate is this unique place, I think that for us, I think the trust is still there, right? And that makes me happy. Yeah. You know, obviously when there's a parent company, I work for Apple, huge company, and it was, I don't want to say really white, but it was bland in a way, you know, beautiful and corporate gleaming and, you know, but it was bland and whatever else WLOS is, it is uniquely Asheville. Yeah. And the people in there really care. And so I get to be a part of that. One of the things that I liked about it was what they do for the community. So one of the first initiatives I worked on was we called it the Super Bowl of Caring. Soup, SOUPER. Nice. Right. So it happened right around the Super Bowl. It was right after Christmas. So a lot of people had given all they could, but we thought, well, people are still hungry afterwards, right? Yep. People are still hungry in February. And so we got a couple sponsors, Ingalls, Carolina Furniture Concepts, and then First Bank. And we benefited Manna, and I think we raised over $50,000.
That's awesome.
So, you know, directly to Manna, which goes directly to people, right? Yeah. They distribute, but directly to people. And that was one of the first things I worked on. And I was like, this is what's up. This is where it's at. And I have continued to do that. So I also work closely with Werner Center for Early Learning now. I was able to, they're one of my clients now, and I was able to help them get to their fundraising goal a month ago. They had a goal of like $40,000 with some of the stuff we gave them, right? We were able to get them to their goal. And so part of what I like about working here, what I like about being in here is that I get to have close ties to these people to help them, really help them help the things that are close to me. Because I was very, very poor as a kid. I was very, very hungry. You know, I was definitely one of the free lunch kids. And I remember in third grade, I was wondering why all the other kids had like, you know, 24 or 36 or 48, you know, crayons, and I had 5.
I hated that. Looking at those big boxes of crayons and having the 8-pack.
And having the little pack. I was like, even then I was like, something's.
And they had the sharpener, the crayon sharpener, and I didn't.
Yeah, exactly. It was built. It was like built in too, wasn't it? I remember when I first saw the 48 pack, I was like, that is the mother load right there. I don't even know what these colors are. But you know, but even then, you know, you're starting to make these inferences. You're starting to make these kind of connections. Yeah. In me, you know, single mom, poor, you know, dyslexic, you know, dyscalculia. You know, it was an interesting time, but now I get to help people that are hungry, and that to me, that's wonderful. I get to help kids. I think I'm going to be doing something with the storehouse, which awesome. we heard them talk as well at that. I want to try to get them the money they need to own that building outright. I think that's a really worthwhile goal. Yeah, thank you. And I was just talking with them today, and they're really excited. So stuff like that.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. You talk about the democratization of technology. Social media has democratized media in many ways. You know, when Helene hit, a lot of people went to, you know, on Facebook and Instagram on their phones to get information. A lot of people are finding out information through social media. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, you provide, you know, a business model where you have a consistency with your eyeballs and the people that are viewing a company's message. So yeah, I think even today, you know, people can say, well, legacy media is dead and social media is the new king. But at the same time, you know, when you post something on social media and you try to make it go viral, sometimes you overshoot the runway and you know, people all over the world see it. When, you know, if you're a brick and mortar shop in Hendersonville, you don't want necessarily people in Southeast Asia seeing your posts because that's wasted eyeballs. You want people in Hendersonville, Western North Carolina to see that. So, you know, what do you tell people? Well, I can't advertise. It's too expensive, and you know, social media is free. What do you tell people like that?
I mean, it's actually a good point. It's like, well, my website only costs me $50 a month, $30 a month, right? Or yes, I can have a Facebook account for free, and I can post, and I can tell the world or tell whoever, right, what I want them to know. And I mean, it's a good point. It's actually really cool. I mean, to be able to do that, right? I mean, it used to be they were gatekeepers, right? TV, radio, print. I mean, and there were these gatekeepers, whoever they were. I mean, like say for print, it was the editor, right? Or TV, it was the producer. And that they were there for a reason, right? They helped, they knew what they were doing. They could help form content, and they could help make it better for the most part. But they were gatekeepers, and they kept things out. I love writing. I love to be a writer. I still like to write stories. But I was reading this book. It was called Wool, and Noah Hawley. It wasn't Noah Hawley, but I apologize. It's a show on Apple TV now.
Wool. Yeah. WOOL.
WOOL. It's a show on Apple TV Plus now. And this person who wrote the books, who now has is helping form that show, self-published, right? Couldn't get a publisher, couldn't get an agent, couldn't get anybody to read his book, and he decided to self-publish. And it happened, and now he's an author, right? Yeah. Now he's in the driver's seat, and so things like that. There were gatekeepers, and that's maybe an instance of democratizing, talent or democratizing, information. So I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. What I also find really interesting, because I've tried this, is I would challenge anyone to go on to Google Analytics. Google Ads, which anybody can do, and try to do it, because it's hard. Yeah, it's actually really hard. I mean, choosing keywords, like for instance for SEO for your website, is really hard. It's not as easy as you think. How to work that in, and now with AI, how to work it in such a manner that the keywords aren't only there, but are being read by AI and then being reported appropriately. It's really hard. And as a small business owner, I would ask somebody, okay, how much time do you have? You know what I mean? It's all about delegating, no matter what kind of small business you have. I mean, if I'm a husband and a wife team, my wife's doing something. She's delegating to me, or I'm delegating to her. As we get bigger, I'm going to have to delegate some other things, maybe to my son or maybe to someone I hire, right? So you have to ask yourself, what's your time worth? Do you want to take the time to learn about creating a website and SEO, and maybe you do, right? Do you want to do it, or do you want to farm it out? And you want to do it out? So I think it's all out there. It's all available for people to do, almost all of it. I mean, there's still some things you can't, like TV, for instance. I mean, you kind of need me to be on TV here. CTV becoming more available, but you still need someone like me. But everything else is possible. But when someone wants to do something, I think they want to do it right, and they want to do it well. Yeah. And they have to decide for themselves whether they want to take the time to learn to do it well, or if they want to hire someone to do it for them. Yeah. That's where I would come in some of those cases.
When 9/11 happened, I was at work in my office, and a coworker had one of those tiny little portable black and white televisions. Yeah. 2001 we had color television, but they
were small.
Yeah, they were small, and they hadn't figured out flat screens yet, quite at that point. But he had this tiny little black and white television, and I remember watching, the events of that day unfold on that tiny black and white television. And now, I can turn on YouTube TV on my computer screen at my desk, and it seems like, I watch football on Sundays on my iPhone. Yeah. What's the future of the television?
Man, that's a good question, right? Yeah. I mean, you look at YouTube even, right? I mean, some of the guys that first got into YouTube, I mean, they are mega stars now. I don't know. I don't know what the future. What I'm seeing. What is maybe I should back up. What I think is the future is not something that I'm too happy about. We're starting to see people do micro dramas. And small, remember movies, they were 2 hours long, and then we got TV shows and they were an hour long, and then there was 30
time
minutes,
for that anymore.
And then 22 minutes, and then 18 minutes. I'm starting to see my TV shows go from maybe 26 minutes down to 18. And I'm like, okay, well, I just was looking at Peacock the other day because I was watching the World Cup, and which if you want to talk about, let me know. But
England, Argentina is on right now.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Did you want to check the score?
No, no, because I'm recording it and I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it when I go home. But yesterday's game was amazing. That was awesome. But I saw it was micro dramas, and I think they're like 10 minutes long. And there's just like a series of them. And they tried this before with Tubi, I think it was, and it didn't work for whatever reason. But what we're seeing with Instagram, with the 30-second clips, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, everything's going quicker. Everything's going smaller, right? And I think that's just going to continue. Yeah. I just do. I mean, we don't have time for 30 minutes, but we have time for 15. And then later on, we won't have time for 15. We'll have time for 5. Yeah. And so on and so forth.
Are you old enough to remember pop-up videos on MTV?
I do. Yeah.
I thought that was so cool.
It was awesome.
Such a great idea because it's that short attention span kind of thing, little trivia nuggets and stuff.
Yeah. Wasn't that on VH1? Was that on VH1?
Was it VH1? It might have been VH1.
Okay. Yeah. I loved it. Yeah. It was great. Little trivia things.
Yeah. Right? But yeah, I mean, it's the way the world is going, shorter attention spans, less time. I mean, I love movies. My wife is not crazy about movies, so I don't watch as many movies as I used to, but I would come home from work years ago and sit down and watch a movie. My wife cannot sit down for a whole movie on a weeknight. That just isn't a possibility. So, I can see how things are kind of shortening a little bit.
Then you throw Christopher Nolan's 3.5-hour movies in the mix and it takes me 3 days. Right?
We just saw Oppenheimer. So
it was amazing, right? Yeah. So we're excited. We want to go see the Odyssey, obviously. That's coming out. But yeah, when I saw the Apple, I worked at Apple, right? When I saw the Apple Watch for the first time, I was like, oh, that's a small TV. It's a small TV screen. Now it's not being used for that yet, right? It's like that. But I was like, it's going to be something like that. And actually, what I think is going to happen, there's a company called Humane, Humane, and I think it was AI actually even. And there were 2 engineers from Apple. They husband and wife, and they broke apart, and they came out with a product that was ahead of its time. It failed, but it was ahead of its time, and it was really kind of like a hologram. So it would you would have this device, and it would actually it would recognize your hand signals, like if you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it would actually display like hologram symbols on your hands. And I think that's what's going to happen next. I think we're going to be getting. I know it sounds sci-fi and silly, but I love sci-fi, so I think we're going to be getting holograms soon.
Yeah, kind of like Minority Report, where they operate the computer with hand gestures.
I really do.
What happened to 3D goggles and stuff like that? It seems like those have kind of stalled out a little bit.
The VR, VR stuff. Yeah, I mean, so I got to try Apple. Obviously I'm an Apple fan. I still love the products. And if they were going to do something, I would have figured it was going to be good. And I've tried the Oculus, right? Meta threw $50 billion into making that kind of that world, the Meta world. And Apple went a different route. They went augmented reality as opposed to virtual reality, which I think they were right in doing that. But I mean, I think what I think is that it's just too expensive still to do it really well. I mean, their goggles were, and they did it well. I tried them. They were like $3,000. Yeah. And I think, most people can't pay $3,000 to do that just willy nilly. So once they get it down to 500, 1,000, I think it'll take off.
Plus, you're kind of walking around with blindfolds on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but those would dim. Those would be opaque. And they would kind of go. They would kind of. I forgot what it's called, the technology, but they would clear up and then go.
So you see where you're
opaque.
going, but it just
Like if those windows over there got opaque and then clear.
I'm an Apple guy from way back. I used the original, Macintosh back in the 80s.
I had an Apple IIe when I was a kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the green monitor.
Yeah. Well, my cousins had one, and they gave it to me when they were done. But
But I had the Apple Watch for a while, but I found that I was looking every time it vibrated. I was looking at my wrist, and I finally got rid of it. I was just like, I can't be tormented by
driving
this.
you crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I've never had one.
Yeah.
They gave us one, but I didn't upgrade. I didn't do anything because it was too much. Yeah. It was too much. I had the phone with me all the time, right? And
but everything else is great.
Yeah.
Love the iPod. In fact, I read something recently where kids are bringing the iPod back because they loved the simplicity and how it was, disconnected from the internet and
remember the clicking?
Oh yeah, the little
perfect.
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day about podcasts, and I remember, because I love podcasts, I listen to them all the time. I remember having to plug up my iPod into the computer, into iTunes, and download the podcast that I want to listen to. And I was like, wow, how archaic that seems. Yeah. But it was cool. I loved it.
It wasn't too long ago.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
Because podcasts kind of came on the scene, and then they kind of, it stalled a little bit, and now they're making a comeback again.
Yeah,
of course, with video this time.
Right, YouTube apparently is like the largest podcast network out there now. Almost. Yeah, and I think I read that Apple will now be having video podcast on there as well.
Yeah. So, and now, like for example, this podcast, when I publish the episode on Buzzsprout, that's what I use to send it to all the different, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It also sends it to YouTube, and it just puts my cover art on a video.
A thumbnail image. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't move, but you just hear the audio with that thumbnail. I thought that was a good idea.
Buzzsprout.
Okay, yeah. There's a bunch of different. I forget what they call it. If it's aggregator or some type of third-party software to put the episode online, but rather than go to each, and do them individually.
And it just kind of does it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what I think is interesting. Talking about media, right? Maybe this. I think about this quite a bit. I love comedy, stand-up comedy junkie. This is going to sound weird. I go to sleep to it.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I know almost every Bill Burr special because I'll go to sleep to it. It just makes me laugh. It makes me happy. Nate Bargatze, Bill Burr, all of them. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm a big stand-up comedy junkie, SNL, all that stuff. And so what we've noticed here in the media landscape is late night. Late night is collapsing, right? So we see the numbers. We see Conan O'Brien. He's gone. He's doing podcasts now, right? We see obviously Stephen Colbert, politically motivated or whatever, but it is monetarily motivated. It wasn't making as much money as it used to.
Sure.
We see the numbers falling for Kimmel and Fallon and those things. And what I think Conan O'Brien is a leader in this is he came to podcast. I mean, obviously other people were doing it first, but I think what's happening now is that those people that have, the wit and the experience and the funny bone are now able to do something very similar, and they have the creative control on podcast. And it can be video or it could be audio, but now they can do more of what they want to do all on their own without the oversight of a NBC or the censors, right? Saying you can't say that or you can say this. And so I think we're seeing a lot more of that. I think that, and to me, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of these celebrities, sports figures, they'll go on X, Twitter, and say something. Of course, they have to retract it. They have to apologize because they probably said it,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's they're going straight to the people without having the middleman.
The middleman. The censor or the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think it's actually pretty fun. I'm a big podcast listener, so that's one reason why I appreciate you asking me to do this. Even if nobody cares, I still appreciate it.
Everybody cares. Well, Jason, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, and best of luck to you, and best of luck for raising the money for Storehouse so they could buy their building. That's a great. How do people find out more about this?
About Storehouse in general?
About your initiatives to help, and if they want to advertise with WLOS, how do they reach you?
Okay, yeah. So I actually have my own website where I obviously work for WLOS, but that's how people can reach me. It's live-good livamp.com. So it's livamp.com, .org, excuse me.
Okay.
You can reach me at area code 504-494-6067, or you can shoot me an email at jlive0420@gmail. And I would be happy to talk to you about anything, really. I mean, you just want to talk about waterfalls, you want to get a cup of coffee, or if you want to talk about maybe, just trying to maybe get a campaign going for a charity or for your business.
Yeah. To the people who think they can't afford to advertise on television, what do you tell them?
Oh, I tell them they're wrong. It's actually amazingly affordable. I was blown away. I mean, when I think about that, I think about Super Bowl, and I think about all the millions. Like, oh my God, this commercial costs $10 million. Well, at WLOS, we throw the production in for free, which is kind of cool. And really, if you think about the airtime for the 30 seconds, it's really, really affordable. I was completely blown away by how inexpensive it was. And I thought to myself, you mean I could have been advertising for myself this whole time? Like, I can afford it, right? Yeah. So yeah. I think that they would be surprised.
Yeah. Yes, well, thank you for coming on, Jason, and keep living good.
Yeah, I'll try, man. I'll try. Thank you. Thank you for having me, dude. This has been really cool.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, man.
The Kudzu Project is made possible by the Lucy Agency, helping businesses across the South grow deep roots and stand out. Based in Hendersonville, North Carolina, this full-service marketing firm builds handcrafted websites, eye-catching logos, and social media that pops for businesses and organizations. Because if your story's worth telling, it's worth telling right. Learn more at lucyagency.com. That's LUCEY agency.com.
Everyone has a story. And at the Kudzu Project, we want to hear yours. Go to kudzuproject.com and fill out our story submission form. You can write your story for us to read on the podcast, request to be interviewed, or even nominate someone else whose story deserves to be told. The Kudzu Project is all about capturing the voices and spirit of our community, and your story could be the next one we share. Visit kudzuproject.com and tell your story today.
Howdy, listeners. Are you ready to kick off Apple Festival weekend the right way? Lace up those running shoes on Saturday, September 5th for the Apple Festival races, hosted by the Henderson County Chamber of Commerce. Whether you're a hardcore runner or just in it for the fun, there's something for everyone. An 8K, a 5K, and the Mini Moo 1 mile fun run. It all starts in downtown Hendersonville and is a great start to the biggest event of the year, the North Carolina Apple Festival. So grab your friends, bring the family, and come be part of the fun. For more information, visit hendersoncountychamber.org, and we will see you at the starting line.